and I think it's a great model, and it's fantastic that they've got that going on here. I think it has a great potential for all over the state, and I know that Meadow worked with the Oklahoma group as well as Idaho Bounty, so you do have some good resources there as well as Six Rivers. So I wanted to focus a bit on the aspects of selling into different markets. So we're really going to focus more on the regulatory and risk management environment. But if you're thinking about selling at farmers markets, one of the things that I think is really important to think about in that process is, we talked a lot about the record-keeping process last week, and for farmers markets or wherever you're selling, it's really important that if you're taking a lot of produce home at the end of the day, you want to be seriously looking at expanding your marketplace. And I know that next week Mary Rolfing is going to dive more into the market assessment and expanding your market next week, so I wasn't going to talk too much about that, but diversity, 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 it's so important. This, Mimi was talking about Roniger's potato farm providing them with some winter vegetables, and they have, I don't know if any of you ever bought Roniger seed potatoes in the past. This is from a couple of years ago. It's now Roniger's Organics, and they sell at the Bonners Ferry and Sandpoint markets. They have a on-farm store. They sell wholesale to local grocery stores, natural food stores. They sell through the Six Rivers markets. They provide numerous restaurants throughout the region. They sell online. They have a winter CSA clientele for storage vegetables. And they actually, David Roniger wrote a grant a couple of years ago, and they got funded to build this. It's almost like an airplane hangar storage unit for their winter vegetables. So they really were smart in their process of focusing on what they did really, really well, and they've been in business for 30 plus years. David, the founder of Roniger's Potato Farm, has left the farm, and his son Simon is now kind of taking over, and David has kind of semi-retired by opening up a natural food store and supplying local food in Hot Springs, Montana. So now he spends his evenings soaking in the hot springs, but he's still really involved with the local food movement. But I bring David up as a great model in that they really, over the years, looked very closely at managing their harvesting records and looking at what their land would provide for them, and they dry farm all of these things and have a storage facility that keeps them in a position where they can keep selling their vegetables and seed potatoes. Now, they sold the business itself, but they still supply seed potatoes to the person that owns the business out of Colorado now, I believe. So the point is, they started out with probably 50 different things, and now they've honed it down to what grows best for them. They grow mass quantities of this. They have a market for all of what they grow, and it's a great opportunity to review what they're doing and look at the history of this farm and see. I mean, they're really a successful business. I wanted to do a poll, and Colette will go into the poll. We have to split this poll up into two sections, but I wanted to see just where you guys are selling, because we don't have that, so I wanted to do that real quick.
Okay, so this is broken up into two questions because we have so many different markets to ask you about. So please tell us what kinds of markets you sell into. It's about 25% of our participants tonight have voted. 41%, 70%. We'll just give it a couple more seconds. We have 77% of our participants voted. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and close this poll and share the results. So 41% of participants are selling to retail, 41% to wholesale, 35% to restaurants, 65% into farmers markets, and 41% into CSAs. So now I'll ask the second market question. So please let us know if you sell into farm stands, you do on-farm sales, sell to schools or other institutions, to food cooperatives, or online through a website, Facebook, or an online co-op. So a little over 50% of our participants have voted. Almost 70%. Let's give it a few more seconds because we know everyone's not selling into all markets. Okay, I'm going to close the poll, share the results. So 25% of our participants tonight are selling at farm stands, 50% doing on-farm sales, 13% into schools and institutions, 31% into food co-ops, and another 31% online through a website, Facebook, or an online co-op.
Well, that's great. That's a pretty diversified group. It sounds like really you guys are all pretty savvy marketers for what you've got going on. I mean, we've gone through a lot of different cycles over the years. We started out with the farmers markets and then added restaurants. At one point we had 6 restaurants in Sandpoint, and we're really gearing up for focusing on with restaurants, and we were pretty much the first farmers to work with restaurants here. Then 3 of those restaurants went out of business, and what we have learned over the years with the restaurant business is, and that's really when we started looking closely at, boy, restaurants are so volatile that you know, we have these people that come in with a great passion to be cooking and not really so good at managing a business, and it really forced us to look at other ways of surviving and selling our goods, and we continue to morph into different things, and I think that's great. If you, with the list of different places that you're marketing, I'm hopeful that you are including all of those with what you're doing, because it sure makes a difference. I wanted to talk a little bit about the labeling aspect and having different kinds of labels with your products and thinking through that process of certified organic, naturally grown, etc. You might want to, well, I'm sure you have, but you really want to take a close look at Chapter 5 on labeling and the Protecting Your Farm or Ranch and book for Idaho, or the Washington Green Book chapter on labeling. If you're in Washington, I think we have one person in Oregon. I know that they have a Green Book as well. The part of marketing is really delving into the regulatory environment and considering different options of labels that you can put on your product. And it seems like with consumers, they really like to be reading those labels and reading up on things, and it's really important for you to review what's involved with making claims like organic, because it's you've got to follow the rules with that.